Against the Ropes podcast.
Contra las cuerdas.
Against the Ropes podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. AtR podcast. Gio Garcia here alongside Christian Mosqueda, back for another episode. 304. Big month in boxing, Chris.
Yeah, Gio, man, honestly, this past weekend was probably one of the best weekends the round by round in boxing. Two big names in the light heavyweight division, and man, they give us a treat, man. Where do we want to get started?
Yeah, I'm going in today, Chris. I'm gonna just give you guys a heads up. I'm going in. So let's start with your boy Pitbull Cruz, Chris. Pitbull was in one of the fights of the night. A lot of people I know were saying probably early candidate for fight of the year even. What do you think of your boy Pitbull, Chris, before I go in?
Well, let me just say, yeah, I agree. I think it was one of the best fights again early on of the year, but it was a great fight again. Just seeing this objectively, Gio, just seeing it like for a fight fan, that was a great fight. That was a great treat. You know, toe to toe action, both men just showing a lot of heart, a lot of will, a lot of power. It wasn't a boxing fight; it was a fight. So just to start off with that, Gio, it was a great fight. And man, I saw a lot of people that don't normally watch boxing where I saw this fight. Everybody was just excited just for that fight alone. Again, nobody really knew who Fierro is in the mainstream. People know who Pitbull is, but it was a very competitive fight. Good fight for the fight fan.
Yeah, what'd you think of his performance?
Obviously, you know, I have Pitbull very highly rated. I won't say super highly rated, but like up there, man. I like him. I like his style. I like who he is as a person, as a fighter. I expected him to do a much better job. This was supposed to be a highlight kind of, you know, fight for him, in my opinion. So in that sense, I think he fell short. He was supposed to make a statement and you know, do something that was going to call out the Ryan Garcias, something that was going to bring the attention of the Tanks. So he, in that sense, I feel like he came up short in that aspect.
Well, look, let's not forget, you know, Pitbull now who improves to 27-3, 18 KOs. We predicted a knockout. We didn't get it, Chris. We both thought he'd be able to stop Fierro. Fierro, you got to give it up to him, man. Tremendous chin. Both men, you know, he was able to hurt Pitbull at one point in the fight early on, that shot to the temple. But yeah, Pitbull, I think, won most rounds, very active. I think Fierro was kind of able to figure him out. In this fight, Pitbull hasn't shown the most power at 140. He throws the same combination over and over, Chris. The left hook, right hook, whether it's downstairs or upstairs. To me, one-dimensional fighter. That's why I call him Krillin Cruz, Chris. Especially at 140, not much power. But yeah, this was a very entertaining fight. As I said, big ups to Fierro. He went all 10. I think it was 10 rounds. And they gave us a very entertaining fight. He won a belt, Chris. They gave him a warrior belt in honor of Israel Vasquez, R.I.P. But yeah, I mean, I didn't learn much from Pitbull. He's still the same fighter. He still really hasn't learned how to jab or not block punches without his face, Chris. He tends to do that a lot too. Let's not forget he was supposed to get a Ryan Garcia fight. Reportedly, he decided to, go through with this fight and probably regretted it, a few rounds in, once he found out that Fierro wasn't going anywhere. I don't think this does anything for his career. I think this was his Tim Bradley moment against Ruslan Provodnikov, where he felt like he had a lot to prove. Obviously, Pitbull lost his last fight, outboxed by Rayo, who's not really known as a boxer like that. Tim Bradley had a lot to prove after, quote-unquote, beating Manny Pacquiao, at least in the eyes of the judges. He had a lot to prove, and mostly, I think, to himself against Ruslan Provodnikov, and we saw how that fight kind of turned out. Unnecessary punishment, you can say, an unnecessary game plan by Tim Bradley, but entertaining fight. I think Pitbull did the same. I think he had a lot to prove. Took a lot of punches in this fight. As I said, got hurt at least once where it was visible where he kind of wobbled back. So yeah, I don't learn anything from Cruz. I don't think this helps him at all. I think he should have taken the Ryan Garcia fight. And I think, as entertaining as this fight was, I think he has to get in the back of the line now because those guys are making moves. Ryan Garcia's fighting Rolly. Teofimo's supposed to be fighting soon. There's, 140, 147. Those guys are going to be moving around. So I don't think anybody's going to sit around waiting for Pitbull Cruz, Chris.
Yeah, in the I want to say like in the sense for the fight fan, for the Mexican fight fan, people are gonna love him, for these kinds of fights. They're gonna say this is why we love Pitbull. This is why we watch his fights. He always gives us, just barn kind of fights where like it's the Mexican style. Again, we said in the past, this is a business as well. Again, these are people too. These are fighters. Each fight takes a little bit out of you, so you have to kind of maximize, your earning power each and every fight. At this stage, I think he doesn't have much to prove to the Mexican faithful. They already know he's a dog. They already know he's going to go in there and put on a show. I think now he has to think about, the right fights, the right moves for himself, because again, we've seen what happens to fighters that have this kind of style, Gio. They're not the same. Once they retire, you start to see, the what happens to them, what happens to their brains outside of the square circle. Again, I know that Pitbull wants to give the fight fans the best fights possible. That's why he gets a big pop every time, there's a press conference, every time there's a build up to a fight. People love him, but again, he's gotta think about his health, think about, life after boxing. We said it previous podcast, if it's a tougher fight than anticipated, if he loses, like he's gonna regret it. You gotta kind of secure the back. So again, the fans will love him. They will continue chanting his name if he keeps giving these kinds of fights. But I don't know, man. Again, each fight like that takes a little bit out of you. And you said it, Gio, as he's moving up in weights, he's not carrying that full power that he did at the lower weight division. So I don't know, man. Again, he's gotta try to make the most money without doing overtime, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this clearly wasn't the fight for that, as I stated, before the fight. I think he should have taken the payday against Ryan, get knocked out, and live happily ever after, Chris. But yeah, he took this tough fight, and yeah, we didn't. As I said, I didn't learn anything new from Pitbull. I don't know if you did, Chris.
No, again, it just this should have been a 4 or 5 rounder kind of fight. Again, when they went the full distance. Again, it takes a lot out of him. We already know you're a dog. We already know that he's got that style. But yeah, we want to see him against big names again. That the fight that he went the distance with Tank, that showed a lot, from him. Not just that he's somebody that you could reckon at 130, 135. But I don't think he needs to be in there with these guys that we don't really know. Again, the fight fans are gonna appreciate these fights, but you also have to think about yourself. So I didn't. He's got to go after names now. Again, if he has another Fierro in front of him for the next fight, I'm gonna start going in on him. And you know how I feel about him. I like him, but you got to secure the bag. You got to get in there with big names. We can't have too many of these fights. Again, the fight fans will love them, will like it, but it's a business.
Yeah, good question here by Hayden. Kyle Hayden says, "Do you think the belt made them fight harder?"
Yeah, I think it did. Of course, when you think of legends that had these kinds of fights, and of course they're Mexican warriors. A lot of the reason why they got into fighting, got into boxing was because they saw these idols before them, and they've been told, all throughout their careers, you got to win the crowd, you got to be a ticket seller. If you're not brash and outspoken, you got to do your action inside the ring. So, yeah, of course, I think knowing that they were fighting for this war kind of belt, this Mexican spirit, the Julio Cesar Chavez kind of kind of fight, that they made them fight for that. But again, I love the fight, Gio. Let me just get that straight. I love the fight. Everybody that loves boxing, that loves the fight, that's the kind of fight they want to see. But I don't know. Again, it takes a lot out of you, and the fight fan won't see it, but it does.
Yeah, and another good comment here by, let's see, El Pinchi. He says, "We learned Angel Fierro belongs in the big leagues," and they mentioned quite a few times on the broadcast that one of his mentors was Eric El Terrible Morales. Um, he kind of resembled him physically, right? At times I thought I was watching El Terrible in there by his technique. He's skinny, the arms, but yeah, I mean, 23-3 now, 18 KOs. He can punch, and I'm sure we'll see him again, Angel Fierro. Last words on Pitbull, Chris, before we move on. We're not going to give your boy that much time. We spent about 10 minutes already. I don't know if he deserves more, but what should be next for Pitbull Cruz?
He's got to get a big name, Gio. He's got to get a Ryan Garcia, any of those guys in that division with big names. Again, we expected a statement in this fight. He gave us a good fight, but you got to make a statement, and you got to be in and around these big names. Again, if anybody wins from this fight is Fierro. People that love Pitbull were like, "Oh, we respect this guy. We know who this guy is. Cool. We're gonna follow this guy and see what he does." But yeah, definitely Pitbull needs a name, and he needs to make a statement. No more give me fights. No more tune-ups, in my opinion. What about you? What do you think?
I don't care, Chris.
Not a fan. Right now, I'm gonna take back the Vegeta moniker until he fights me a big name. So, you know what? I don't give those nicknames easily, Gio. So right now he's making me look bad, making you look good.
Hey, look, a comment here says, El Pinchi says Pitbull should have been the co-main, Chris, and let's move on to that because that co-main wasn't very exciting. We both predicted that Figueroa would get his get back. Chris, what was wrong with Figueroa? I mean,
Yeah,
this was
I don't
shocking to
think
see. I don't know if he threw any power punches in the first half of the fight. I don't know. Was he sick? Was he injured? What was wrong with Figueroa, man?
Again, I mean, we don't know too many of the factors that are going on behind the scenes, but something that we clearly see that I interviewed a lot of the Joel Diaz fighters. A lot of those fighters sparred with Figueroa. They know him as a volume puncher at 122. They told me that once he gets you against the ropes, once he gets you in in close range, he doesn't let you go. He's just a volume puncher, and that's something that we didn't see at 126 Geo. So again, it felt more like a fight where he just was not himself. It was not the same at 126. Stephen Fulton picked his shots, was more effective, was a cleaner puncher, and it's more like the Matador kind of just having the bull where he wanted him. So yeah, Gio, I just that volume punching did not carry over to 126 in my opinion.
Figueroa was awful, says El Pinche. JC says nothing wrong with Figs. He was never that dude. Big Bro says, as I said, Fulton beat Figueroa easily. Figueroa is washed. He also adds, it wasn't exciting because of Figueroa. It looked slower and weaker than usual. JC adds on as well. He says, Figs just volume, lack of power, and not tactical. Yeah, I think that's what kind of hurt him in that first fight. I thought he won the first fight, but he looked terrible in this one. I mean, you could see it since the beginning that he wasn't going to get off. He wasn't going to gain any momentum in this fight. Fulton did his thing. Look, anytime you wear Timbs and jorts, man, you better pull it off. As he was coming out to the ring, I was like, he can't lose with that outfit. I thought it was pretty dope. It worked. He won the fight. And, yeah, I think Figueroa's done, Chris, honestly. He could have got a big fight. He was talking about Inoue before the fight. He was talking about, I think I have enough power to knock Inoue out. We got to get that out of here. And I like Figueroa, but I think he's done being one of the top guys at 126. He just, I don't know. Maybe he needs a new trainer. Chris, his dad is his trainer. How successful is that ever? Unless your last name is Mayweather, unless your last name is Garcia, there hasn't been many successful, father son duos. Lomachenko comes to mind, but yeah, either he has to get a whole new team or move to another division. But yeah, I think he's done getting any big fights in this one. That's how disappointing his performance was.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't want to say that he's washed. I think that's a little, overreaching. But yeah, definitely did not look like the Figueroa that's had success in the past. Looked sluggish, looked slow, looked confused. That's what happens when these brawlers, these volume punchers get beaten to the punch each and every round. You start to lose it each round more and more and more, and that's what he looked. And again, I agree. I think he needs a reset. I think he needs a fresh start. I think he needs a little bit of time away from the sport. Again, we said that he had all the momentum going into this match. Fulton had just, had his first knockout at the hands of the monster. Anyway, we felt that, that was going to take a lot out of him, and he looked pretty good in this fight. He looked fresh. He looked like the more confident fighter in that ring. And yeah, Figueroa just did not look good. Again, obviously we've seen some shades of his brother. We've seen his brother have success with the volume punching as well. And as soon as they get away from that strategy, it seems like it's not them in there. So yeah, we don't know what distractions he's had outside of the squared circle, but I definitely agree that he needs a reset. He's got to find, if not a new coach, maybe just have dad be the auxiliary coach the way the Virgil Ortiz do it. But he needs a refresh in my opinion, Gio.
Yeah, and look, I thought Figueroa was that dude when he beat Nettie. I didn't expect him to be Nettie, but he stopped him with a body punch, and then right after that, he lost that majority to Fulton. Like I said, I thought he probably pulled it off, but he didn't fight a smart fight in that one either. I thought he was going to be better in this one, and yeah, that was a complete opposite. A wash, basically, 116, 112, two judges, and 117, 111, the other. Figueroa now, who drops to 25-2. 19 knockouts. Man, he broke a lot of hearts. He broke a lot of hearts of his fans, of his supporters. And we take the L on that one, Chris. We thought he was going to pull this one off. And you got to give it to Fulton too, because Fulton did his job. Fulton did not look spectacular, in this fight or his last fight, obviously against Inoue either, but he got it done. It was an easy fight for him. Let's call it what it is. Fulton's not a puncher. Obviously, look, 8 KOs and 23 wins. He has that lone defeat to Naoya Inoue. He got stopped in that one. He won a split decision in his last fight. He went down in round 5. But in this one, Figueroa never really made him uncomfortable, and easy win for Fulton, man. That was a little surprising, and I was surprised too, but not shocked that the fans in Vegas were booing this fight. It was very, very repetitive. I think mostly the boos are probably toward Figueroa because he really wasn't showing us much in this fight. But let's go ahead and move on to the main event, Chris, because we do have a lot to talk about. Yeah,
Let me say, is
we
this our
spent.
first major L of the year?
Yes, it is, Chris. Yes, it is. This is only like the third fight, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, the third
Just to
fight.
brief people,
Yeah.
just to brief people that are new, we have this prediction game that we go, we try to predict the winners of each major bout. We've been including some of the lesser known because we never know with upsets. Upsets can happen, but if we get a prediction right, you guys can play along as we go through the calendar year. We pick a fight, we pick a winner. If we get it right, we get a W. Obviously, if we get it wrong, we get an L. And if we predict the decision, whether it's a knockout or a decision, you get a KO. So, well, Gio will pull it up later on to explain it some more. But that's pretty much how we play. You guys can play along. So we both predicted that Figueroa was going to win. We made an educated prediction. Obviously, we were wrong. We look bad in this one. Thanks, Figs. But yeah, man. Again, this is boxing. This is the beauty of boxing. Sometimes stuff like this happens. And shout out to Stephen Fulton for proving us wrong.
Yeah, and I pulled up the one from last year so you guys can see. We pick every single fight, winner, the method, and then we'll come up with our records at the end. We'll probably include Big Bro, Chris, because he's probably in the lead right now. We'll put a third column in there for Big Bro who got this one right, the Fulton one. He called it from before. And some guys on the chat, Chris, complaining that they didn't show Figueroa's sister.
Missed opportunity. Missed opportunity.
Just
But
don't say that in front of what's his name?
El Barrios.
Yeah, Barrios.
Hey, shout out to Barrios, man.
Barrios had a kid with her, so just don't say that when he's around. I'm sure he's watching, so y'all better be careful. All right, let's move on to the main event, Chris, because we do have a lot to talk about. That man right there, David Benavidez, 30-0 now, 24 KOs. Got his second win by decision in a row at 175. This time around against David Morrell, who was coming into the fight 11-0, 9 KOs. The Cuban. Good fight, Chris. Another entertaining one. This was a pretty entertaining night of boxing, I would say.
Yeah, let me just start by saying, Gio, the first 4 or 5 rounds, some of the best rounds I've seen from both fighters in a long time. Again, you dream of these fights, you dream of these starts, and you rarely get them. You usually get people downloading, the other opponent. You get one guy, teeing off on the other. But man, this one was toe-to-toe action. Both men started very well. Benavidez started fast, something he doesn't normally do, in my opinion. Morrell was boxing well, having his moments. So the first 4 or 5 rounds, obviously the whole fight was a great fight, but the first 4 or 5 rounds were exceptional. Everybody was on the edge of their seat where I was watching the fight. I was watching it at Spotlight in over here in Indio. Everybody was Theo's. Everybody was here, bro. And again, everybody was on the edge of this. They were like, this is the kind of action we want to see. A little reminiscent of Hagler Hearns for moments. So yeah, man, that's the type of action that you dream of.
Yeah, and look, both men, they said they were gonna knock each other out. It certainly looked like they were trying, right? Let's go ahead and look at that result. That was scored 118-108. Crazy scorecard, Chris. 115-111, and then 115-111, all in favor of David Benavidez. Let me also pull up. I think we have the scorecards on our channel. I posted the scorecards so you guys can see it round by round. I disagreed with the scorecards, but I do think David Benavidez won. If you see it there, the 108 judge only gave one round to Morrell, and that's the one where he got the knockdown. Let's get into that, Chris. Let's jump right straight into that. The knockdown. Would you consider it a knockdown? I know it was a little bit of a trip there. He got punched in the shoulder, but Morrell showed, I would say, very good power in this fight. He was able to keep Benavidez off of him a lot of times. Something we haven't really seen in the past. We've gotten accustomed to watching Benavidez fight smaller opponents. This time around, he fought a guy right around his size, and Morrell scored a knockdown on paper. Were you kind of surprised by that?
No, I wasn't too surprised. I actually expected Morrell to do better, to be honest. But just to stay on the topic of the knockdown, it's a knockdown. He threw a punch, a little off balance for David Benavidez, a bit of a rookie mistake in my opinion, and a bit of a veteran move by Morrell, being so young and experienced. But yeah, a knockdown. It wasn't a clean one. I'm waiting for Morrell to do a clean knockdown. So I think a lot of people feel the way I do. It's a knockdown, but it wasn't a 100% clean one, and that's something I kind of expected. I felt Morrell's amateur pedigree, his boxing style was gonna give Benavidez a little bit more trouble, more problems. I didn't think he was gonna be there to be hit as cleanly as he thought, and obviously Benavidez said the same. He's like, I'm surprised I was able to touch him as much as I did. But again, great fight, great performance by both fighters, and yeah, man, again, I scored it 8-4 Gio for Benavidez. It was competitive up until the fifth, sixth, and then I feel like Benavidez kind of took off. Later rounds, Morrell has some good moments, but too few in between. But again, a great fight nonetheless, and props to Morrell for taking this fight. When I have said in the past, it was a little too premature.
Yeah, as some of the guys in the comment section are saying, his inexperience showed, and that's the part that I was concerned with. I think we knew going into this one that Morrell, he's a good fighter. We just didn't know how good he was, and I could feel confident saying that Morrell's the real deal. I think he beats a lot of the guys at 75 and 68. This fight, perhaps a little too soon for him. I think he didn't always manage the fight well. He came out fast and strong in the first round. I think Benavidez kind of forced him to, and at times he was dictating the pace. Sometimes he was just going to the corner, going against the ropes with his hands up. He didn't seem too bothered by Benavidez' power, but at the end of the day, Benavidez was scoring. So, yeah, I think obviously Benavidez won this fight. Scorecard's way too wide. Not really surprised. It's PBC. Benavidez is the A side. He even got a break from our guy Thomas Taylor. When he punched Morrell after the bell, and then Morrell punched him back. And at the end of the day, that really didn't make a difference because in a 10 must system, Morrell had scored that knockdown in that round, so he still ended up winning 10-8. So at the end of the day, it didn't affect him, which that's kind of a smart move if you want to, you know, throw do something like Morrell did, throw a punch after the bell. Kind of hurt Benavidez too. Didn't really end up costing him, but um, yeah, I think they they were always going to score this for Benavidez. They're trying to set him up for bigger things, and we'll see if they let us know what the pay-per-view numbers did, but the attendance looked good. Not sure they sold many pay-per-views, but Benavidez little by little starting to make a name for himself. I don't know if he takes the fight against the winner of, Beterbiev and Bivol. I don't think he beats either guy. Um, but yeah, it was an entertaining fight, and things are a little different when you fight guys your size. So look, he wasn't able to really harm Vostek at all in that fight. Vostek, who's almost 40 years old, who retired for so many years, and against Morrell, he didn't really look like a monster. So we'll see where Benavidez goes. I don't think he takes the match against Beterbiev and Bivol. He mentioned Zurdo Ramirez, perhaps going to cruiserweight. I think that's an interesting fight. But yeah, I think this fight was entertaining nonetheless.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you respectfully, Gio. I want to say that Morrell didn't take the punches well. When I say that, I'm not saying he doesn't have a chin. He has a great chin, and he showed he has a great chin. But I don't think he liked that power, Gio. I don't think he took it as well. I think his body language showed. Again, I expected him to be boxing and moving. I get it. He's not an Islandi Lara. He's much bigger, so you're not going to move as fast. But I expected him to move and box him again. I think David Benavidez' body shot slowed him down. I think he's got a great poker face. I think he was, more touched up than he wants to admit. Again, poker face, Gio. I think of Canelo. I think of those guys that you get rocked, but you don't show it. You bite down. You keep going. But yeah, he didn't want no part of David Benavidez's his onslaught. Again, great chin, great conditioning, great skills to stay in the match towards the distance. It shows that he is world class. I agree with the chat. He's a little inexperienced. I felt like in those middle rounds he should have been moving more. Should have been, showing different looks, doing different things, maybe letting his hands go a little bit, take some risks. But I think he wanted to go the distance, and he wanted to live to fight another day in a sense. So again, a lot of praise goes to Morrell. He took this fight where he could have waited 2-3 years to take it. In my opinion, he shows that he does deserve to be on this stage. But yeah, man, I think Benavidez deserves more props because he kept coming. He showed no fear, no hesitation to who I think is the superior boxer clearly, and he didn't let him show it.
All right. Well, I'll disagree with your disagreement, Chris. Benavidez at the end of the fight looked more beat up than Morrell, and let's not forget, Morrell on paper scored a knockdown, and Morrell was the only one to wobble his opponent in this fight. So don't forget that short right hook that he landed. I think it was round. I don't remember. And that one judge didn't even give Morrell that round where he wobbled Benavidez, which is crazy. But yeah, let's go to some comments. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, no, dude, that fourth round, Morrell caught him clean. And I don't think he noticed that he had Benavidez hurt. I think it happened towards the end, right, Gio?
Yeah.
But I wanted to see more of those. I think if he would have done more of that, he would have had Benavidez in trouble some more. So I think the inexperience, a little bit of the hesitancy due to the continued onslaught, the continued volume punching. But he got experience. He got 12 rounds with a legit champion, the youngest ever 168-pound title holder. So again, this is experience. I think I speak for a lot of the chat, a lot of the people out there. We can't wait to see Morrell again because he's still learning, he's still growing, and he showed he's got more to learn and more to come from Morrell.
Yeah, and you mentioned champions, Chris. I was telling Big Bro during or after the fight, Benavidez is proudly showing his junior belts, Chris. I think he's got more than Tank Davis now. But Benavidez is the type to show off his junior belts. He was holding, I think, the WBA one, was he? He always has his WBC junior belt. So, I don't know. I thought that was a little funny. But you mentioned the belt, so I thought I had to get my hate off.
Hey, and for people that are new to the chat, Benavidez can punch, man. Like, we have videos of me taking some body shots from Benavidez years ago. He's gotten bigger, a little bit stronger. So again, big props to Morrell for taking those body punches. Again, they're nobody likes to take body punches, man. Even with that protector. But yeah, no, Morrell did well again. Those body punches will slow you down, Gio. And again, I think Benavidez did well to slow down, the boxer and Morrell, and that comes with experience.
Yeah, I think this also, at least to me, kind of gets me more excited for Better BF against Bivol, the rematch, because I think, those two guys are miles ahead of anyone at 175, and I think we're going to see that on display. Just like, when Fulton easily beat Figueroa, I was telling myself, like, man, how good is Inoue? Inoue made easy work of Fulton, and then Fulton goes and defeats one of the champions at 126 easily for the second time, But in this case, yeah, I think February 22nd, that's a fight that I'm looking at, that undisputed championship. As I said, I don't think Benavidez wants it with any of those guys. I think in one of the interviews that I read, Benavidez said, of course, he wants to talk about Canelo, right? He said, I'd rather fight Bivol because Bivol beat Canelo. So if I beat Bivol, that will make it clear that I'm better, right? In other words, I don't want to fight better, BF Chris. That's what I'm hearing. But look, advantage for Benavidez, in my opinion. Those two guys are getting older. So if the fight happens maybe next year or the year after that, I think Benavidez will have some advantages. If the fight happens right away, I think he has zero chance of beating any of those guys. I don't know if you agree or disagree, but to me, it's not that Benavidez is looking normal at 75 or fighting guys his size. It's just, to me, he's not really looking like that monster. I know he has a lot of KOs, but hey, if you're fighting Lemieux, of course you're supposed to get those, right?
And you said that he doesn't want to fight with Bertrand. What? Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, so he mentioned that he'd rather fight Bivol. He'd rather have Bivol win that fight so he can fight Bivol. Because Bivol beat Canelo, and if he beats Bivol, that means that he's better than Canelo. All right, but to me, I just hear, hey, I don't want any parts of better Biv. That's what I hear.
Hey, he's thinking like a businessman, and honestly, if we're thinking from a business perspective, that's probably the smartest thing to do, right, Gio? I think you mentioned it. You fight a people, that's a tough fight style wise, but if you can break them down and make yourself look like a million,
Yeah.
I can't even say $1,000,000 because they're throwing way more money than that. But you make yourself look so good, stock goes way up. You have something against your arch rival in Canelo, the face of boxing. So yeah, that makes sense. And in the meantime, Beterbiev gets a little bit older, a little bit slower, a little bit more weathered. Yeah, that's super smart of him to do. So yeah, for sure he's going to be ruined on Bebo. Then yeah, I think Bebo's got a much better chance. We've said it as time goes on. Beterbiev has slowed down just a little bit. And sometimes in boxing, that's all you need. Just fractions. So yeah, man, I think that'd be a smart move. But I don't know, Gio. I disagree. I'm going to disagree with you all night tonight. I don't think Benavidez is scared of anybody. Really, I think he's obviously fighters will always say that they don't have fear of fighting anybody. And I truly believe it with Benavidez. I think there's a reason why people, show up and see his fights and they get behind him and they see the fight like this one that happened Saturday and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to see him again. So again, I not to overtoot his horn, but Benavidez, in my opinion, Joe, outside of you know who he's fought in the past, I don't think he's afraid to fight anybody. Again, at 175, I agree. I don't want to say that there's limits, but obviously his punching power is much more effective at 168, especially when you're fighting bigger guys. So I don't know, man. It's not going to be favorable a fight with Beterbiev, but I want to count out the monster.
Hey, I never said he was scared, Chris. I'm a kind of phrase it like our guy Ramon Cardenas said about Inoue, about him not fighting MJ. That's his stablemate, so he has to hype him up. But he said he's maneuvering, strategically maneuvering to fight other guys. That's all I'm gonna say.
Maneuvering, sidestepping. Yeah, those are the words.
Hey, let's go to
Yeah.
some comments real quick because the chat is going off. All right, I don't want to spend too much time on this. Big Bro says he showed his inexperience as a pro, gassed a little in the middle rounds. JC says Morrell stopped throwing around 60-10. Morrell had too much muscles, says Iceman. Shout out to Iceman. Big Bro says he stayed in the pocket too much, let those vicious uppercuts go through his guards. Sorry. Kyle asking, did he gas? He seemed hesitant to throw and was shelling up a lot, he says. He also says he definitely wasn't throwing a lot. Iceman says it wasn't a knockdown. A push and trip, no knockdown. Yeah, it was tricky. I think live it was difficult because obviously you saw the punch land. A lot of people were saying it's not a punch landed. I mean, he punched him in the shoulder, so that's a punch. But he did trip over his foot. So I wouldn't say a real knockdown, but as you said, Chris, according to the rules, probably is. But yeah, I think the important thing was that Benavidez wasn't really hurt by it. Um, he when he seemed hurt, at least by Morrell, he didn't go down. He didn't go down. He fought back. So, yeah, that's a tricky one. Let's see. Was it a knockdown? Says Big Bro. He showed it in slow mo. He didn't move his head in the pocket. Says JC. Um, yeah, a lot of the comments here. And then a lot of comments about Crawford and Canelo. Chris, have you heard anything lately? Not to move from this topic, but the chat is going off. I haven't read anything today.
So before the podcast, Gio, I went to the Ring magazine. Shout out to them; they're doing great things. They actually put a story out in minutes, maybe 20 minutes before the podcast,
All right.
that the fight is off. So first of all, I respect Turkey for hey, if it's off, he's gonna let people know. So that's what I saw the last time I checked the net. But it seems like the fight is off. I don't know. We don't know exactly why. They didn't really specify why. But on the Ring website, which we know is a very credible website, they're saying it's off, Gio. So yeah, man. Tell me what your thoughts are on that. There it is. Putting it up right now. Tell me your thoughts on them announcing that the fight is off. Is it to garner more interest? Do you think people are really saying what Joel Diaz is saying, and that this fight doesn't make sense? Terrence Crawford doesn't have a prayer. It's an Amir Khan Canelo kind of fight. What are your thoughts, Gio?
Yeah, so first of all, I was pretty surprised that they had announced the fight. We've heard in the past Canelo saying that he doesn't this fight doesn't really excite him. There's a huge I guess huge difference in weight. I mean, they're about the same height. Crawford probably longer arms. But they're just used to fighting different type of guys, Chris. You know, there's no secret how I feel about Terrence Crawford. To me, he's known as a guy who's never really fought the top guys in any division. I do got to give him props for the Victor Postol win, but if you look at a lot of his championships, a lot of especially that undisputed run at 140, terrible. Um, uh, and even at 47, look at the version of Errol Spence that he fought, and all the other guys he never got in the ring with them. So 54, it seemed like he didn't want it with anyone else after Madrimov. He was waiting for the Canelo payday. He befriended the right guy in Turkey, right? Turkey, he wanted that fight, fantasy fight. It seemed like it was going to happen. I was surprised that Canelo even entertained it. But it seemed like I said, Crawford didn't excite him, but that paycheck probably did. So I was surprised that they agreed to it. They were saying September in Las Vegas. And now, as you said, Chris, they're saying that it's off. This is from the Ring magazine website. And I'm just going to go ahead and read it. uh, as a source, probably they mean. I'm gonna just read it how it is. As source has advised the Ring that the anticipated super middleweight showdown between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford is now canceled. Alvarez 34 and Crawford 37 were expected to meet on a September date at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Crawford, who holds the WBA's junior middleweight title, was planning to move up in weight by 2 divisions to challenge Canelo at the full super middleweight limit of 168. So, yeah, I'm not sure what happened. The guys are going off in the chat. But look, I started hearing rumors about Canelo and Jake Paul and this and that. So it kind of led me to believe that all this was just, I don't know if trolling, just internet, just clout chasing. I don't know. But this fight being called off, I think makes everything make a little more sense, at least in my eyes.
Yeah, no. Again, yeah, I don't. I first of all, there was rumors that it was potentially going to happen. It was going to be announced for a later date, which is, lately it's been like, I guess the norm now. You have a fight in May, you have another one signed months from now. I kind of felt like that was going to be the what was going to happen, but
That
I don't
Chris,
know. Like,
that's a turkey norm, Chris. That's a turkey norm. Turkey is making it a thing.
Yeah, and again, yeah, obviously, Terrence Crawford holds the title, the WBA, the 154 that Madrigal had, and we just interviewed Joel Diaz. He's one of those people that has been very vocal that says Terrence Crawford. A lot of people felt my guy won. I know he's supposed to say that, but he's like, I'm being objective. Um, if people saw him struggle with Madrigal, he has no business going up two divisions and to fight Canelo at at that weight. So yeah, I don't know if people have been in Turkey's ear saying that this fight doesn't make sense. I know it's gonna make money, but I don't know. Obviously, we'll get details in the days to come. Um, the Bible of boxing strategy, it's this is Turkey not mincing words. It's off for now. Yeah, it's a little surprising that it's happening now, but it almost feels like Canelo's like flirting with Crawford, getting him excited, and then just saying, nah, I'm not gonna take you out. So yeah, again, this is the fight that I wanted to see, just to see if it's what can Terrence do. I don't expect them to win. We didn't expect him to win, but I wanted to see if he can kind of test himself against greatness. Again, this is why we commend Khan, because even though he got knocked out, we're like, hey, that boy has no fear. He went in there, trying, and he won a lot of the early rounds. But again, there's weight classes for a reason. So yeah, obviously we'll get more details as we go. But yeah, a little shocking for them to announce it's off.
Yeah, let's go to some quick comments. Real quick. Some people are saying that Crawford was asking for too much. Big Bro says, I'm glad Terrence don't deserve it. He needs to fight the best at 154 or retire. He also says Benavidez is a unified interim champ. Yeah, he has a lot of those. But let's go to that video that we just posted last night. You interviewed Joel Diaz recently, and he went off on this fight. I'm gonna just go ahead and play it. Hopefully
While you're
hold up. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play it, but Joel Diaz really didn't give Crawford a chance in this fight. And here it is.
Okay, there's a lot of people that stay on the topic of. We're gonna look at this Madrigal fight. This is gonna be a test to see if Crawford, if there's a ceiling at 154 or 160. Do you feel like there is a ceiling for Crawford, even though we know how talented he is?
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. My opinion is like everybody's opinion. I mean, there's a lot of people that say that Crawford can beat Canelo, no problem. I mean, I respect that, but I just think they're stupid. I mean, excuse my language.
Mhm.
I mean, look, Benavidez fought Demetrius Andre. Demetrius Andre, a fighter that everybody avoided. Nobody wanted to fight him because he's very talented, great fighter, great person, great friend. Benavidez is a great fighter himself too. He's strong, a lot of confidence, but Demetrius Andre went from 54 to 60 because nobody wanted to fight him at 54. He went to 60, fought a couple fights at 60. Nobody wants to fight him at 60. So what did he do? He moved up to 68 to fight Benavidez. And you know what? I was watching the fight and I saw Demetrius Andre be successful in the first 2-3 rounds. But that's the size difference. The size difference of a bigger man changes everything with one punch. And I can see the same thing. I mean, you saw Canelo Alvarez fighting Amir Khan. Now, look at this.
All right, hold on. Let me see what he was going to talk about next.
Terrence Crawford moved from 47 to 54 to fight Madrigal. What did he do to Madrigal? Nothing.
A lot.
Okay, Madrigal was a 54-pounder. Now, to move up to 168, that's 2 more divisions.
All right, if you guys want to see the full video, go check it out on YouTube. But hey, I don't disagree, Chris. He was straight up. He was straight up. Obviously, he fought against Crawford with Madrimov. That was last summer here in LA. And I, like many people, thought Madrimov won that fight, or at least a draw, and we saw Terrence struggle in that one. Yeah, 168, I think is way too much. I think it's a fantasy fight. I don't think it's realistic, but people want to entertain it. I don't think this is 100% off, Chris. I think there's still a chance of it happening, but we just got to wait and see more details. Maybe they're trying to sell it more. I don't know. Maybe this is a way of getting more eyes and attention on it. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it's completely off. I think they're gonna negotiate. I kind of agree with the chat. I think maybe Terrence Crawford, overpriced himself. Maybe he's gonna have to come down a bit, just a little bit. And yeah, again, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, a lot of negotiations, managers, advisors, everybody's just talking. So again, it's not completely off. I say give it a couple weeks, and we'll have a little bit more of what's going on behind the scenes. But yeah, man. Again, I think Terrence. I don't want to say that he. Of course, he's gonna say he believes in himself, and I think he. Why wouldn't you? You've been undefeated, this whole time. You have a winning mentality. We saw what he did to Errol Spence Jr. I think he's got that mentality that Mikey had, where he says, "There's something. I see something. There's something there that I can exploit." I think he sees a guy like Errol Spence Jr., big 154 pounder, probably walks around at 168, 69 plus. Maybe he thinks if I hurt this guy, I can hurt somebody like Canelo, who height wise is the same, nearly the same height as Errol Spence, but he's a lot bigger. Gio, he's a lot thicker, a lot muscular. You know, way better chin than Errol Spence. So again, Terrence has to. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us can't believe so. We see Bomac say on record that he's saying some crazy stuff, Gio. So again, there's people in his camp that believe it. He believes, but man, it's a tough ask. It's a tough assignment. And again, these are two guys that are in their late 30s, very well conditioned to be at that age and still be at the top of their game. So I mean, again, it's that's to me that's intriguing, but I guess I meant to think you could be the Canelo and take that punch.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what comes of this, Chris. Next week I'm sure we'll have an update on that. People going off on this fight, people going off on that Jake Paul fight. We'll have to wait and see, Chris. I don't know what to believe. I know a lot of people were posting the Jake Paul fight. If it's not coming straight from the source, I didn't see Canelo posting about it. I don't even think I saw him post about Crawford. So at least when Canelo posts something, I know it's true. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's gonna be interesting. I don't think we have a Riyadh card soon until the 22nd of February. So I'm sure that's where a lot of the media is going to be interviewing these guys and trying to see what happened. But yeah, last comments on Benavidez Morrell, Chris, and then last comments on Canelo Crawford after that.
No, yeah. Once again, it was a great night of boxing, Gio. I know we had our critiques of people Cruz, but overall, those are two great fights. Anybody that tuned in, got their money's worth seeing that kind of caliber fight. Again, shout out to Morrell for stepping up early on in his career. A man in near his prime. He's coming into his prime, but still very fresh. To take an assignment like a David Benavidez. And yeah, man, I think David Benavidez, and I think a lot of people like the sportsmanship shown after the fact. Yeah, both men respect each other. Again, it's all. How can I say this? It's in the ring. It's they become animals. They become warriors. But as soon as that 12th round, like that bell rings at the end, they can put it aside and respect each other because they just go into war. So again, shout out to these both men. They're just this is great for boxing. These kinds of fights are great for boxing. This is why we tune in. So I mean, I can't wait for the next year to see what Morrell brings, what Benavidez brings, and what the light heavyweight division brings.
Yeah, I'm sure. We'd like to see Morrell in a big fight. I don't know if he gets it, Chris. I don't know if he gets it. High risk, low reward. We see he's a dangerous fighter. He can hang in there with anyone. So yeah, unfortunately for him, man, he only has 12 fights. He's Cuban. He doesn't have the biggest fan base. So I don't know if the Caleb Plants of the world, the Diogo Pacheco's of the world, the Jaime Munguias of the world will want to get in the ring with him. Unfortunately, but yeah, for Benavidez, we'll see. He's mentioned Zurdo a couple times now, so let's see if he really goes through with fighting the winner, Beterbiev and Bivol. Uh, comment here. Let's move on to some comments. Big Bro says, so he called Timmy stupid, he says, because Timmy keeps saying that Terrence will be GOAT Nello. Timmy be saying all kinds of stuff.
Timmy lost a lot of. I mean, I like Timmy. Timmy's a cool guy, man. He's from out here from Palm Springs. Timmy's a cool guy, but I think he took a big L with the whole Ryan Devin Haney, and he's still to recover from that. But yeah, he said some wild things. First of all, I get it. He sparred with Terrence Bud Crawford when he was a champ, when he was like a full-fledged champ during his prime. And obviously, we've heard rumors that that Bud Crawford gave him the work when Bud Crawford was at 130, when he was a small guy, nobody knew his name, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, I get it. You're gonna give that guy a lot of props, a lot of, you know, you're gonna build him up because that guy gave you the work when you were the man. So I get that, but you know who else is the man? Canelo, and Canelo's a beefy, big guy, big puncher. So again, there's weight classes for a reason. So yeah, man. Again, we'll see what happens. I'm still, hoping that fight gets made just to see Terrence taste a little bit of greatness and get his bag. But man, I don't know, man. I think if Amir Khan was here, he'd be like, I don't know, but we'll see what happens, Gio.
Yeah, and I was one of those who was opposed to this fight happening in the past, but once they announced it, I was like, hey, sure, Canelo, get your money. Should be like an easy-ish fight. Obviously, he's toward the end of his career, 34 years old. He's kind of fought everybody at this point. He took fights early in his career with little incentive and little money, and now as he's older, sure, take a fight like Terrence, make a lot of money, get that easy dub. But yeah, we'll see. I think Eddie hasn't said much. We know Canelo doesn't say much. They just kind of they tend to just announce fights kind of out of the blue. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. The Canelo saga continues. And yeah, well, poor Terrence, man. I was gonna come on the show and say, hey man, this guy won the lottery. He's as I said, he's a guy who's not really known for fighting the top opposition. He was, in my opinion, getting overpaid at Top Rank to fight guys like Kell Brook before he retired and Amir Khan before he retired. 154, he took that one tough fight and basically said no mas. And now he was going to win the lottery. As I said, he befriended the right guy in Turkey. It seemed like Turkey had made it happen. So, but yeah, poor Terrence. I don't know where he goes from here. Everyone's calling him out. Everyone wants to fight him, but he has a belt at 54. He doesn't seem interested. I'd love to see him in there with Bakram, Chris.
Ooh,
that would be a great fight, but hey, we'll see. Murtasaliev.
That's a tough fight. Man, if let's say this fight with Canelo doesn't get made for whatever reason, I think it is gonna get made just because what you said, he's made friends with Turkey, and I mean you're gonna have to negotiate if you want this fight to get the big, like, you're gonna make the most money you've ever made if you fight Canelo. So I think he's gonna have to take a pay cut, but it's still gonna be the biggest payday of his career. So I think it does get made, but if it doesn't, Gio, and there's a shock announcement that he's fighting a guy like Murtasaliev, I'd be like, dang, that's gonna be a crazy fight if it gets made. Because again, I think Murtasaliev is the scary dude at 154, probably the scariest dude. What he did to Tinzu, nobody expected it. They didn't really know who this guy was. Nobody knew who this guy was, and for him to do that to Tinzu, who's was probably one of the boogeymen at 154. It's crazy. So again, I think Murtasaliev is one of the scariest guys at 154, and if Terrence decides to take that kind of fight, I will give him the utmost respect. But we'll see what happens. Again, the 154-pound division is wide open, man.
Yeah,
there's a lot of scary guys in there, and can be the glamour division for years to come. But yeah, we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, and the Virgil Ortiz fight is going to be a very interesting one coming up soon against Madrimov. Chris, you've been in the Madrimov camp lately. So it's going to be interesting to see your prediction for that one. But that's coming up February 22nd. We still got some time. We still got some time to think about that one. This weekend, if you guys are looking to tune into some boxing, Derek Chisora, Otto Wallin, Manchester, England. I'm not sure if they're even going to televise that here, but that's going down this weekend. And then February 14th, that's a Friday, Dennis Berenchik, Keyshawn Davis, pretty good undercard as well. And then obviously the next day, Jack Catterall, Arnold Barboza Jr., Manchester, England, DAZN. And then that February 22nd card is the big one, including that Ortiz versus Madrimov fight, which should be a good one. I think it's a good measuring stick for Virgil Ortiz, who's now at 154. Terrence Crawford struggled against Madrimov. Let's see if Virgil Ortiz can make a statement in that one. But yeah, a lot of good boxing coming up in February for sure.
And again, Gio, obviously, we've been interviewing Joel Diaz and we've been around Madrimov. And obviously, we're also big fans of Virgil Ortiz Jr. He's got a great fan-friendly style. He's a humble kid, hard worker, one of the most disciplined fighters over there at RGBA alongside BAM. So this is one of those, like, we're a little divided, man. If we're being honest, we're divided. We like both guys. Again, Madrimov is a very humble guy, very disciplined, Eastern European style. You know how those guys are. They're just very, very disciplined, very stoic. It's all about business. Obviously, they're coming over here to the States to try to make something of themselves for their families. Same thing with Virgil. So it's this one divides us. But yeah, man, I'm excited. Obviously, already, Gio. I'll announce it right here, right now. We'll be going to Saudi Arabia on the 22nd. Yes, our cameras will be there. We're gonna try to get some good footage for you guys. Still waiting on credentials, but I was like, there's no way I can miss this fight for the channel. Gotta go. It's one of the biggest cards of the year, and I'm hoping that there's more cards like this. You predicted it on our first episode of the year. You're like, I predict that there's going to be another one, in 2025, and we're hoping that you're right, Gio. For once, I will side with you. I'll give you the W on that one if you're right. But yeah, man, we're going to be in Saudi Arabia. Don't know what to expect. Whole another country. Going to have to get accustomed to the culture, the rules, all that. But man, we're excited to be out there. Got my passport a few weeks ago. We dug into the AtR savings. We're going, but man, I'm excited again. This is a fight that has 7 main events that could be their own event. So we're excited to be out there and to see all these championship caliber fights.
Yeah, and we'll likely talk about this. Let's see. Yeah, probably in 2 weeks, 2 episodes from now. So should be exciting. We're gonna have to do our homework for this one. I think basically all the fights on there probably qualify to go on our prediction sheet, Chris. So yeah, it's gonna get intense that day. Let's go to some last comments here, and then let's get up out of here. Let's see what the chat is talking about. Leave your last comments, last questions before we get out of here. Let's see who's lit in the chat. I'm not reading that one.
Which one?
Morrell versus Benavidez, says Iceman.
Yeah, again, Gio, 10 days away from our boy Arnold Barboza taking on Jack Catterall over there in jolly old England. So shout out to him. We'll see if we could get him, maybe a few days before his actual fight. We know that he tends to not give interviews. He's locked in. He knows that each fight, brings him closer to bigger and better paydays, bigger names. So he's locked in. He's that kind of guy. He knows that any misstep can send him back. So he's ultra focused. So he did give us an interview last time. Hopefully he's able to give us a little snippet. But yeah, man, 10 days away from our boy Arnold Barboza Jr. taking on Jack Catterall.
Provodnikov lo dejó bien pendejo de la putiza, says JC. About Timmy Bradley.
Damn, I'm going off on Timmy. Hey, shout out Timmy. I know Timmy watches the show.
All right. We got Toltec checking in, talking about the David Benavidez fight. He says Benavidez can give Bivol some problems. Yeah, and we've heard about those sparring sessions, right, Chris? But this was a while ago, and it is sparring. I've just heard stories of Benavidez getting the best of Bivol during sparring, but it's sparring, so I don't know how much I would, lean on that, to really analyze that fight or pick a winner. But yeah, I hope they all fight. I hope they all fight, especially because Bivol and Better BF are getting older. So smash that like button, says MAW and Kyle. That's right, man. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Get off your last comments before we get out of here. But yeah, on my end, thank you guys for tuning in. We know it was going to be an exciting weekend of boxing. I don't think they disappointed, Chris. I think the only man I'm disappointed in was Brandon Figueroa. But Morrell, Benavidez, they did their thing. Pitbull, Fierro did their thing. Shout out to Jesus Ramos. He got a KO stoppage too over veteran Jason Rosario. So, some good boxing. And it's just a warm up for that February 22nd card. And hopefully we can get bigger cards, man. We know they just announced that Ryan Garcia against Rolly main event with Devin Haney on that undercard, Chris. Undercard for Rolly and for Ryan. I saw an interview of Rolly saying that my son is on my undercard. Talking about Haney, he's going to be fighting Jose Ramirez. So still a lot of good action to come. And the Canelo saga continues, man. Poor Terrence. He might not win the lottery after all. Imagine that. They tell you, hey, you won the lottery. And then they tell you, wait, never mind. That's a counterfeit ticket right there. You didn't win. Shite, mate.
Yeah, no, again, I'm looking forward to seeing that presser between King and Rolly's Romero. I know we've said in the past they've been a little bit friendlier, since their sparring days, but they're gonna have to find a way to sell the fight. So hopefully they bring in some entertainment. Hopefully they shoot on Devin a little bit. You gotta mix it up. But again, I'd rather see a little bit of animosity between them. Again, it's a fight. You got to convince us that it's a fight. So hopefully we see some good entertaining trash talk between these two.
MAW says working, so just been listening. Shout out to you, man. We hope we entertain you a little bit, at least a little bit during work. Big Bro says Dimitri wasn't trying to hurt a chubby teenager. He says he was taking it easy on him. Oh, that's funny. All right, well, yeah, I think that's that, man. Hey, be on the lookout. Chris, as I said, he interviewed Joel Diaz. He's been over there at the Mandramov camp as of late, so there's still a ton of videos to come. I only posted 2 videos, I think, Chris. I haven't even gotten through the whole interview. So do you want to give us any teasers, anything that he probably talked about? Don't give us the whole thing, but yeah, just give us some, because as I said, I haven't even listened to the whole thing yet.
Let's just say he drops a lot of gems, man. He talks about B-Boy. He talks about Betraby. He drops a lot of good gems in there. So yeah, be on the lookout for that, guys. And yeah, man, obviously you guys have seen the video where I take some body shots from Benavidez. I take body shots from another hard punching 168 pounder. And man, I'm a little embarrassed, man, but be on the lookout for that one. I think I tap out a little too early. I kind of get my bearings together. I'm like, nah, let me take a little bit more. I'm a big boy. I can take these shots. And then, yeah, but be on the lookout for that one. Another 168 pounder. Nice guy. Super. Everybody, like a lot of the Mexican fans love his style. He's just got that knockout power. So be on the lookout for that one, guys.
All right, 100%. And I think that's it. I'm trying to see if we missed any recent fight announcement. This Cepeda Farmer looks like they're going to run it back. I know they just announced the Janibek fight. He's going to be fighting in Kazakhstan. Not really a recognizable opponent, but that's going down April 5th. April 26th, they're seeing Chris Eubank Jr. and Connor Ben in London. Jaron Ennis against Stanionis. I know Junto Nakatani is fighting this month on the 24th against David Cuellar in Tokyo. The Gervonta fight, I don't even know if it's on or canceled. Subir Matias, March 1st. Nick Ball versus TJ Doheny. I don't know who TJ Doheny knows, Chris. This guy's fought so many champions. That's insane. Talk about connections. He just lost to Inoue.
Yeah, whoever's his manager is getting him fights, because I just hear that name and I'm like, I've seen him opposite a lot of recognizable names. So yeah, man, gotta get a manager like TJ Doheny's.
That's going down in Liverpool, England. Fundora is fighting Cordell Booker. I don't know who that is. That Cepeda fight is supposed to be in Cancun. Iceman says, let's see video. Chris, are we posting that video of you getting punched? You didn't send it to me, by the way. You sent me a picture, so you got to send that.
I'll send you the video again. Download it again now.
Are we posting that?
Or I'll post it by tomorrow or the next day.
Or are you going to be on that LeBron stuff, getting dunked on and be like, nah, don't post it. Delete it. Or can we post it?
You can post it, man.
All right. I'll edit it. I'll make you look good. Don't worry. I'll edit it.
Yeah. Man, but Iceman said anyway, might fight 4 times a year. That's what I heard. Yes, that's what I heard as well. And somebody from out here from Indio, MJ, might get that fight in December. We'll see. Again, we did hear that MJ has to stay busy. Yeah, there's got to be a fight in between, so they know that they got to stay winning as well. Because you lose any fight, and it messes up the bag. So we'll see what happens. But yep, that's what I've heard, Iceman. That anyway, he's trying to stay busy 4 times a year. That boy's already lining up for fight of the year contender with that schedule alone.
Oh yeah, he's gonna have to fight MJ. If you're fighting 4 times, come on, MJ will be one of them. But yeah, let's get out of here, Chris. If you're new to the channel, please follow us, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever it's called, Facebook. What's the other one? Threads, if that thing is still alive. Anything but TikTok. All right, at againstdaropes, against the ropes. All right, make sure to follow us, sub to the channel. As I said, look out for those videos of Joel Diaz. He was straight up, man. He was very honest in this one. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to posting those up. But yeah, that's that, mates. We appreciate you guys. Yeah, go ahead.
I was like, hey, yo, Gio, is that you? I almost kind of, you're wearing gold. But yeah, man, again, thank you guys for dropping your guys' comments, likes, all that, and keeping us honest. Again, we love the sport. Appreciate you guys watching us. If you're watching from home, from your work, obviously you're following us. You're following the sport of boxing is because you have a sick fascination with people just punching others in the face. So again, thank you for supporting the sport. Again, we're going through a golden time, a golden generation, with Turkey at the helm, with these fights being in Saudi Arabia, and that's one of the reasons why I've decided to go. We got to support the sport when they're doing it right for us. So shout out to Turkey, shout out to Riot Season, and yeah, man, let's keep this momentum going with these kinds of fights. Yeah, shout out to Luka Doncic, who I'm sure will be watching now. He's in LA, Chris. I'm sure he'll be watching. Hey, look, all these news coming out feels like the NBA trade deadline, Chris. Man, this fight is happening. This fight is not happening. This guy's doing this. That guy's doing that. But we'll see. Hopefully we get some announcements soon, man. Soon. Hey, well, let's get out of here. Vámonos. Let's go, mates. Let's go. Odosas. Step your game up, Pitbull. Throw some jabs. Ese Pitbull making me look bad. Vámonos. Let's go, mates.
Hola amigos, soy Juan Francisco AtR. Quiero mandar un saludo para mis amigos de Contra las Cuerdas. Que se les muchas ganas. Un abrazo, muchas bendiciones.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. You know what mine is? Let's box, bitches. It's almost fight night.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you for the support. Keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job. So thank you and best wishes. Huge shout out to Against the Ropes. Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you guys for the interview and hope to see you guys soon. Against the Ropes, always doing the right thing. Shout out to Against the Ropes, man. I appreciate you guys for having me, taking the time on y'all day. Against the Ropes, #1. Freddie Ropes.